morning and good evening, everyone on planet Earth. Warm welcome to the Remembering. We're joined with some friends, Rob, James, Carl, and Darius, and Fabian. Would everyone like to say hello?
Hello.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good. How is it over in your end, in Pennsylvania, Darius?
Everything's good. I wanted to share a little story about for anybody that's still in school, basically, and
definitely. Me and having this conversation before, we thought we'd start with this very interesting story, especially for those who are still in the education system or uni or just dealing with just basic authorities sort of thing. So yeah, Darius, go ahead.
Basically, this is definitely for people that are still in school. I mean, this is my last year. I'm still 18, and I was waking up to this knowledge ever since I was in 10th grade, to be honest. But basically, the schools are there, like they still claim to have authority over people. And when you're in this awakening state and you're in the knowingness, okay, and you're going through this programming school system, it could be difficult if you choose to listen to them and you know what's right, or if you choose not to listen to them and stand up for what you know is right in the knowingness in the now. So basically, when I was in school today, I had the science teacher. His name is Mr. Mills. He was talking about science, energy, and how everything is separate. And then I had to stop him, and I said, wait a second, how is everything separate? And then he started going on, explaining how everything's separate, apart from each other. I said, okay, you do understand that everything is energy, and energy can never be created or destroyed. You are a science teacher, so you must know this. He said, yes. I said, okay, well then if everything is energy, thus everything is connected. And if everything's connected with energy, then nothing is separate. Neither am I separate from you. If I look at you right now and you look at me, I am you and you are me. Experience duality together because we are not separate at all. Nothing is separate. Everything is energy and everything has an energy field around it that connects one another. The universe is connected and all one. The planet is connected to the galaxy is connected to the universe, and we're all one breathing organism of life, basically.
Exactly.
And you really have to stand in the now. You have to stand in the knowing, the knowingness. And of course, when you tell off someone that's older than you, if you're still, in school and they look down upon you as like a child, like you're just a kid, and you're telling someone else that is supposedly adult, and you're telling them, and they have nothing to say. Of course, they're going to get aggravated and tell you to leave. And when he told me to leave, I
full steam ahead.
What's up?
The ego most of the time still running at full steam ahead when they're closed off to most things.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. When you confront them with the truth, it's either they could do one or two things: accept it, or run away from it with an ego and get the fighting defensive up on them, the guard. So they get to do one or two things when you tell them stuff like this. And as I was walking out, I had his pencil because I was using it, so I grabbed it off the desk. And he said, put my pencil back on my desk and don't touch my desk. I said, first of all, I didn't touch your desk. I touched the pencil. And he was like, by virtue, the pencil was on my desk. Thus, the pencil was on my desk. Thus, you were touching my desk because you touched the pencil. And I said, okay, by virtue, right now, the pencil is touching the desk. The desk is touching the floor, and the floor is touching my feet. So by virtue, I am touching your desk, and by virtue, everybody in the classroom is touching your desk. So how do you turn around and tell everybody else, stop touching the desk? I said, by virtue, I only touched the pencil. If you want to be more specific in your vocabulary, you have to speak more with your vocabulary and more proper. Because if you're telling me do not touch the desk because by virtue it's on the desk, the pencil's on the desk, then by virtue, when I'm at home laying down on the bed, by virtue, I'm still touching that desk.
Oh, that's great. What the perfect timing for a talk as well about energy and how everything's separate, or as I was saying. It's a good timing.
Well, when you say it like you're talking, everything is one. That's exactly right, because the school system is exactly the same as the prison system. Conformity, set times, set rules.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly the same. It's just mirror image.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And you know, the sad thing is too is when I try to explain it to people, and I try to narrow it down as
the simplest way of explaining it.
Yeah, the simplest way of explaining it, and like I tell people, teachers, like everybody, I'm like, you honestly can't believe right now that you're free. Because if you were really free, would you really flock like a bird as soon as the bell rung, like immediately get up, or when the Pledge of Allegiance comes on, you immediately stand up because it's just unconsciously you're doing it because you're so used to it, because you've been programmed to do that by the system.
Or even just halfway through the class, if you just felt like walking out, just get up and I've had enough and just walk out. Look, I remember at school you couldn't do that. You're too scared.
Yeah.
That sounds very much like me when I was at school. When I was at school, Darius, I didn't really get on well with school, I must admit. And I used to get up in class and walk out. The teacher goes, "You can't leave my class." And so, "You want to bet? Watch me." And I used to walk out.
Exactly.
I tell you, I've been one of these people in my life that never really conformed to a lot of things, I must admit. I'm going through a bit of a battle at the moment with my head. Do I take on my role as a slave again, or do I just carry on doing what I'm doing? And
no, don't.
Well, there is that don't sort of scenario. But when you got your wife in your ear, you know, it's quite hard. But yeah, I'm having to go back. So obviously knowing what I know. So that's.
That would make it almost harder.
Yeah, speaking about walking out the class, I actually have a funny story about that one. We were talking about it before. When I went to go walk out the class, and like I was going to the bathroom, and like I just walked out, and like I didn't even ask. And then she was like, "Where do you think you're going?" I said, "I'm going to the bathroom." And she's like, "You got to ask." And I said, "Wait a second. So I have to ask to go somewhere?" I said, under what authority do you think you have over me that I have to ask you to do something? Under what verbal contract did I give you consent over me that you have authority over me? Thus, if I did not give you a verbal contract to control me over my willingness, if you're demanding me to do something, you are talking to the wrong person. And I walked out, and that was the end of that.
Buzzing. The teacher would have been buzzing, going, "What is this guy on?" Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I talk like this, and I'm not just talking like this in front of the teacher. I'm talking in front of everybody's hearing me in the classroom.
What did everyone in the class like? What's their sort of response, and how do they sort of handle it?
I mean, some will be like, "Oh, you know, just listen," like, "Oh my God," and then some will be like, some people would actually be like, "Oh my God, wow," like, you know, and amazed. And actually, today when I was with the science teacher, when I was talking about the energy and by virtue, the pencil and all that stuff, this one girl, her name is Christy. She came up to me and she said, "I don't know how you do that, Darius. You put your words in like a poetry almost, and like it just comes out, you know." And it's like she told me that she would be afraid to ever have an argument with me because she would be afraid that I would say things that she couldn't understand, you know.
So I think once you understand what you understand, if you know what I mean by that, you find your words come a lot easier. I find that too. I find that when you look into things, and like we all research stuff, but when you understand it better, your words come a lot easier to explain what you're trying to say. And I think that's evident in a lot of people doing this. I think it's very evident. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's what I think I have a problem with. like I know all this stuff, and when I try to express it to somebody, it just all comes out at once, and like it's almost like I'm hitting them with everything that I have, and it's like you like it's almost like feeding a baby. Like I'm taking the baby and I'm feeding it steak when it doesn't have no teeth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
Do you know what I find? Like,
That's a very good analogy.
Yeah. That was a great analogy. I kind of find instead of trying to argue, get them to question themselves about the things that they're saying, and normally they can't even answer why they're saying this and holding up to certain belief structures that they are. You just ask them, well, why are you saying that? Where did you get that from? And how do you just can sit there without questioning that? And even
they've always got something to point at.
Yeah. But no, it's very interesting when you can sort of see, not in a prejudiced sort of way, but you can see where they are consciously in their own mind, but to a certain degree.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because there's this one of my teachers. I don't know why, but I had a very like how should I say? I had a very quick connection with him, like really quick. As soon as I walked in the room, I had a really quick connection. He was actually a history teacher, and he tried it, but like I could see right through him. He tried to like present himself as like a big guy, you know, and like all into his ego. And I walked up to him after the end of the class, after when he was done teaching whatever he was teaching. I said, you know, I still see the kid inside of you, and it's okay to let him out. Because it's okay. Yeah, and I was like, I still see the kid inside of you, and it's okay to let him out, because no one's going to judge you for who you really are. So take off the mask and be loved.
Yeah.
And he left.
What's up?
Did you say he left, or was just done?
Oh no. He was done with his lecture. He was teaching the class, and after when he was done teaching the class and everybody walked out, I did a sort of one-on-one with him, and I said, you know, I still see the kid inside of you, and it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I walked out, and ever since I was in his class, he was totally different. Well, when I was there.
Do you know what? Funny that you say that. Just by listening to what you said there and how you had the one-on-one with him, it's really amazing, because the fact that you just have that natural ability to be able to go up and speak to him and express exactly what you're feeling and tell him exactly what's going through your mind, and then you kind of compare that to just say, don't like to stereotype a majority of sort of a lot of the kids in the classroom who would be sort of worried, or not even be able to be open to that possibility that there is other things in his mind that he may know, or just even like questioning sort of thing. You know what I mean? I've kind of got lost my own explanation there.
No, it's like, you know,
I complicated my words.
It's like everyone fireballs their own thoughts and ideas because they don't want to upset someone else. They don't want to upset the apple cart.
Yeah.
Because if you say something, you're going to be looked at as weird and it's the outcast. I find that a lot with all sorts of paths people are taking. I find that someone going down a conspiracy route will find something out that no one else knows, and it's like, oh well, you're a conspiracy theorist because of this. You know, it's always labels. So a lot of people, I think, in that instance, they do police their own thoughts because they don't want anyone to think bad of them. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of conspiracy theory, when I was trying to, this was the same teacher that I was trying to explain it to, the science teacher. And I was trying to explain him about the OPPT and how everything's foreclosed, and the corporations and the trustees, the beneficiaries. And after when I was done explaining everything to him, he was like, "Is this some sort of conspiracy theory?"
Yeah.
You know,
it's
a conspiracy theory. Yeah.
It should be.
It might be to you. You know, you should have said that to me.
Well, what was Max Egan's conspiracy realist?
Yeah, I was about to say that, conspiracy realist instead of theory.
And if you go looking for the information, it's there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't take as long to find it.
Exactly. What was talking this morning? 45 seconds. They were on 45 minutes.
45 minutes with the Boston bombings. Yeah, what your uncle was saying, Darius.
Oh yeah. Speaking of my uncle, I actually have him here with me right now. If you want me to put him on.
If you like, introduce him.
Yeah. I'll introduce him. Here's my Uncle Bob. Right. Give me a second.
Hey, Emilio.
How you going, Bob?
There's only one computer and one set of headphones, so.
Beautiful. We'll work.
You just passed me the mic.
No worries. Yeah, we were sort of going into the scenario with the Boston bombings, and before air, we were comparing to like the 9/11 and how long it took for everyone to sort of come out with the other side of the information, and you were telling me 45 minutes after the sort of bombings went off in Boston, the alternate information that was coming out. So it's unreal. 45 minutes.
45 minutes. We were already getting bombarded with emails. Fake. You know. It was with pictures. They already had. They were doing a bomb drill at the time. Really, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to buy this? And
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is they really don't have any new tricks.
Yeah.
They don't. And once you learn the set of them, you can recognize them almost instantly once you see it. David Icke did a really, problem, action, solution.
Yeah.
The Gilliam dialectic bomb, yeah.
And people, like my nephew was saying, people are really, really conditioned.
Yeah.
When somebody says, what are you, a conspiracy theorist? I ask them, where did you hear that term?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Where did you hear that term? Because that term was fed to you.
Yeah.
By someone else,
Conspiracy, instantly theorist. I said, I immediately when somebody says that, I immediately recognize, okay, this guy is educated from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Because that's
unable to think for themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what could you fill us in a little bit what you were telling us before about that situation with the guy supposedly had his legs blown off, because I saw a lot of footage on.
Oh yeah. There's actually a video, and I'll try and find it for you, and I'll post it in the website. I have so many different Skype chat, and it's not on because I'm signed.
Yeah, that's okay. But yeah, I actually posted myself on my Facebook a compilation.
There is a video out there where you can see the guy who was in the wheelchair who supposedly had his legs blown off.
Yeah.
There's a website where the guy gives photographic evidence that guy was amputee from 2008 from Afghanistan. They even know his name. And in one portion, they're wheeling this guy out, and you can see on the camera, and they get halfway to the street, and these fake prosthetic legs that look like they were blown off literally fell off. And they had to stop and put them back on and then continue on. And I was just, oh my God, really?
That's unreal. Even the fact that he was actually in a wheelchair, like when you have that much degree of damage to certain arteries in your legs, you can't be sat upright because the blood will just rush out instantly. Even most people have their legs blown off, they're dying within minutes because of the blood flow that just leaves the body so quickly. Let alone having them upright in a chair where the gravity is pulling the blood out. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Also, if you look at those pictures, if you've ever had the misfortune of actually seeing something like blood on the ground is not that color.
I didn't know that.
When blood hits the air for more than 30 seconds to a minute, it turns a burgundy color.
Yeah, it's coagulates.
It's a deep burgundy color. It's not bright red, except for when it first comes out, and it's near almost black.
Yeah.
because it hardens. It sort of mixes with the oxygen and hardens. Yeah, it's just like a paste, then, isn't it?
Do you know much about that? The chap who they found in the boat, who they had like the whole military looking for one guy, armed up to.
Are you talking about the Patsy?
The Patsy, that's the one.
Yeah. Do you know much about that sort of thing?
All I need to know is that it's a Patsy, and
that's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's Sandy Hook, that whole theater shooting. All of these things, are reactions.
Yeah.
They're reactions to something that they no longer feel in control of. And it's basically, you've got a world power throwing a temper tantrum because they can't have their way. And they'll never have their way again because people are too awake.
Yeah.
I was filling you in a little bit about what's been going on with the One People's Trust and all of those filings. A lot of people, people have different opinions about the One People's Trust and did they have the authority to do what they do or did they have any effect? Well, the evidence is in the reaction of the people. And recently, the Indonesian government, the government of Switzerland and the United Nations have issued, and the actual owner of the United Nations, the prime signer, I forget what his name is, but issued an order based on the One People's Trust filings, that all the banks and corporations have been foreclosed. He issued a UN executive order 10433, authorizing all the world's military, who, by the way, gets their direction. A lot of people think that, your military gets their direction from
from the country, blah, blah, blah.
But no, they don't. They take orders from the UN.
Yeah.
And the UN issued executive orders authorizing all military and local law enforcement to arrest any who are perpetuating slavery system, private money system. They actually turned over the world's military for the purpose of executing the military orders in those filings.
That's unreal.
So, and we've had certain military personnel literally come back and authenticate and say, yeah, these orders are real. So when you have and they're not associated with the One People's Trust, they never spoken with the trustees or anything. This is something that they felt they needed to do. Yeah. And they looked at the filings, had their lawyers look at those filings, and found that they were legitimate, and they took action based on that. Yeah. So the world is changing very, very rapidly. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a reason why they're raiding people's accounts in Cyprus.
That's crazy.
Excuse me, Bob. They're going to be doing that here too soon. Any accounts in Australia now that are sort of what's the word? Stagnant for like over a year. The government will now come in and take your money.
Well, the thing about it is, they have no more money, and so they've been stealing from each other. Yeah. It's funny to watch, from the background. Just watch them, Yeah. China tries to ship. The U.S. tries to ship some gold to China. It ends up somewhere else, and then they're trying to pay their debts off, and that money ends up somewhere. And they've just been, trying to shuffle around the little bit of resources that they have to try and keep the system going. Yeah. But if you look closely with a discerning eye, you'll see that it's falling apart all around them.
Well, it was never really built to last. I think from my understanding and looking into things, it was a system that was destined to sort of fail. Hyperinflation now, it can't sustain itself at all. So I think we're right in the midst of the change of it all, which would be very, very mind-blowing for most people.
Yeah. I think
if you think that portion of what's going on is mind-blowing,
yeah,
that is the smallest tip of the iceberg. The collapse of the government and financial system, that is minor.
Yeah.
Compared to what is actually happening on a galactic scale. And we start getting into that, where we're moving at in this portion of the galaxy, where we're heading, into this new energy band, that we're receiving this energy, and people are not feeling it yet. If your sleeping habits, your dream time, the headaches in the head, aches and pains, if that hasn't hit you, along with seeing 1111 everywhere you look, or 444333, and all these things are definite indication of something so much more massive than the little geopolitical problems that we're having on this planet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I was trying to be a little bit subtle because I've got my little spacecraft just sitting there ready to get ready and go.
He's taking me with him.
Neil, I'm gonna tell you right now. Now is not the time to be subtle. Yeah. Now is not the time to back off. No. Now is the time for
the safety's off. The safety off.
Rip the Band-Aid off, because you cannot. We're at a point right now that there's really no time. And I'm sorry if people haven't caught up yet. You're going to have a very, very stiff learning curve, but you're going to have to catch up quick.
Yeah.
Because the truth needs to be shouted out, regardless of how ridiculous it sounds, because people need to know. They need to know.
Well, I was just going to say, Bob, that David Icke there a few years ago, he said that people will have to change voluntarily or they'll be forced to. And that's what I'm starting to see.
I think people are going to have to, Bob, I don't know whether you agree with this, but I think people are going to have to, at the end of the day, choose a side. Because, as I remember an OPPT interview you had, and it said, choose a side. I think, I'm sorry, I forget his name.
One of the guys on the team?
Yeah, one of the guys on the team was saying, well, we're having better fun over here. Why don't you come and join us? So, it's...
Brian.
Yeah, Brian really said that. It was brilliant. And I think it was just so right. Exactly what he said was, we're having better fun over here. Come and join us. Because at the end of the day, we're all moaning about what we're doing, and in the present climate, we're worried about our jobs, worried about where our money's coming from. This is what everyone's worried about. But if we all just come into that energy as we talk about and become one as we all are, none of that will matter.
Do you know what would be the most beautiful part for me would be when that understanding spreads more across the range of all different people, and people start working together. It's like just looking at our neighbourhood work, and most people are afraid of their neighbours. Like that's just crazy in itself.
You got fences up, and you got garden, you got massive bits of land separating everyone.
Yeah. The reconnection to everyone is very important thing that's happening now. Like I find a lot more people being more open. Even when I get calls from certain corporations, like I'll sit and make time and have a chat with them and get them to question certain things within the people that they're working for as well. Like it works both ways.
But it's going to be something, and this is another thing. This idea of free will choice. Yes, we do have free will choice to a point.
Yeah.
But you must understand, right? We live in a universe, and that universe is a living entity. It's a conscious thing, okay? And when it makes a decision to do something, like the cells in your body, right? You make a decision. I'm going to walk in the room. The cells in your body are, oh no, I don't want to go in that room. I'm afraid. But when you decide to take your step, guess what? All your cells are coming with you.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much they protest, regardless of how much free will choice they think they have, when you decide to move, all of you moves with you. And when the universe makes a conscious decision that things are going to be a certain way, there is no more free will.
Yeah. Well, another thing to throw into that, coming from the individual side of things, what I've come to sort of learn as a massive possibility, and I definitely believe to be true, we had the choice to play in this physical realm, so to speak, but not always be constantly day by day thinking that we're locked into this capacity and this density, so to speak. We were able to just come and play and admire how beautiful this realm is, but also be able to off into the realms of the spirit of the soul, where you can get there via dreams or meditation or ethnogens like dimethyltryptamine and that sort of thing.
Well, there's lots of ways to get there.
Oh yeah.
And I could tell you, some of the primary ways to get there. You can get there with diet. By eating the right foods, you will literally cause a DNA activation. You can get there by conscious will alone.
Yeah.
By setting your intention and keeping in focus, and you don't have to even worry about the diet. You can get there by chemical means, in particular psychedelics.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a massive thing. That's an issue at the moment, having that so outcasted certain psychedelics.
Well, there's a reason they don't want you to do them.
Oh, of course.
Okay. You can get there by psychedelics, or you can get there. You can get there by laughter. Just being in a very playful, joyful energy.
Wow, I've never looked at it like that. It makes sense.
Any of those four things will cause a massive activation in your DNA. And for those people who are not getting that activation, they're still getting the consciousness, because there's only one consciousness in the universe. They're still getting the consciousness, but because they're physically not willing to change, they're experiencing all kinds of frustration, all kinds of almost psychotic episodes. And
I call that the grieving process.
Yes. And some of them, unfortunately, are checking themselves out because they can't handle the energy, and they're not really going very far. They're just recycling. They're coming right back.
Yeah.
Most of the time, then.
But it is like that. A lot of people just come full circle. They don't know where to go. They lose their way, so they just come back to square one again. And they're not prepared to take that step.
Well,
it's that step that will pass your way. If you take that, as you said, that final step, that all your molecules in your body don't want to do it, but you do it. That's a defining moment for a lot of people, I think, with the awakening and everything. I mean, if you just take that one little step that pushes you over that edge of worrying about what people think and worrying about where your next step's going to be, if you take it in that right direction, then as you probably well know, that things will start to happen for you.
For me, I think that the main three things, because of what you're speaking about, Rob, from my understanding so far, is having that open mind to be open to all possibilities, as well as letting go of fear, and then understanding ego. Those three things together, learning about them and how it operates within yourself, it's the most.
There's one more thing I'd add to that, Emilio.
Yeah.
And I'll say this as my parting words. I'll give it to my nephew.
No.
One of the things, and I think this is probably one of the biggest things that people need to really come to terms with.
Uh-huh.
In order to truly open up and grow, okay, there is one thing that people are scared to death of, and it's the only way to move forward. And they're scared to death of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is an absolute must in this new energy. People are so afraid. They're afraid of being vulnerable. But only in vulnerability, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, can you truly exchange the energy of love.
Yes.
It's the only way. You understand? And this is why a lot of people have problems with relationships and commitments. The fear of vulnerability. And this is something that people, are going to have to come to understand, that every single human being that you see feels almost exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And when you can get past that fear of others around you and look at them, just another me, they feel just like me. They're just afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're just afraid to say it.
There's two in trapped in this. I better not say that because you might think it's,
Right.
It's always the same. It's, especially when you're breaking free, as I say. That means free in your speech, free in your doing, free in your being. Yep. There's no compromise with freedom. Especially when it comes to this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll give you back to Darius.
No worries. Thanks for joining us, Bob, and thanks for that. I'll have to get some more information about those orders off you.
Oh, sure. I'll send you whatever information I have on it, Emilio.
Yeah.
And keep up the good work on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Take care, guys.
Take care too, Bob. Cheers, Bob.
Very, very interesting. It is a lot to do with vulnerability. Yes, yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. You there with us, Darius?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, that's wise words from Bob. I always love having a good chat with Bob.
Yeah, me too. I love it. Especially having him as an uncle is, yeah.
Yeah. Unreal. Has he been sort of in your life, like, cause I know with my situation, my auntie was sort of the one who kept my mind always open to pretty imaginative sort of scenarios. So I'm sort of, is that how it's been for you, sort of thing?
Not really, but it's a long story. I'll go through it. Basically, how it started was basically when I was born and all the way to 9th grade. Okay, I wasn't awake, but I always knew that there was something else. And in the beginning of 9th grade, I started to look up videos and like basically opening up my mind. And at the end of 9th grade into the summertime, as I was opening up, and as you're opening up with parents that are still like my mother and her boyfriend were still asleep, as you would say, and they were very close-minded. So I was opening up, so I got in a fight with them, and they sort of threw me out. And when they threw me out, I came to my Uncle Bobby's house. Now, I had no clue what I was going through. I really had no clue what I was going through at this time. Like, awakening, I didn't even know what to call it. I was just like getting upgrades 24/7 of information that I had no clue even existed. And when I came over to my Bobby's house over the summer of 9th grade, he basically started telling me everything down to Pleiadians, energy, how the universe works, reptilians, the government, everything. And I was like, from that summer on, like, I just always looked up to my Uncle Bobby. Like, I just always looked up to him all the time. And after when that summer ended, this is where I told you where I went back to 10th grade, and people were like, Darius, what happened to you? Just them looking at me, they knew that there was such a big difference from 9th grade into 10th grade over the summer, just such a big difference. And this was when I was getting over my 2-year relationship with my girlfriend, and she even said, Darius, how could you change in only 2 months? This is ridiculous.
Wow, that's unbelievable. It would have been an intense summer, especially for everyone when you went back to school as well.
Yeah. I would say the most intense thing was the girlfriend, because when I was still in that paradigm of, everything's perfect the way it is, our relationship was about control, okay? And when I started to wake up and release and learning that everybody is me and loving everything that I see because everything is me eternally, she started telling me like stuff like I'm like I love you, but I love everybody else too because everybody else is everybody else is one. And she was like, you can't love everybody else. You have to love me more. I'm like, I love you just as much as I love everybody else, because I was learning that nothing's different. Like you're no different than a person walking down the street from you. There's no difference between you guys. You guys are the same thing. You guys are just a hologram that you guys are projecting in your mind, but you guys are the same thing internally. You guys are energy. You guys are the internal, the creation, the spark of life. You know.
I can understand most of us here can sort of relate to the exact situation, but in very similar sort of sort of scenarios. It's you're kind of respectful at the same time for where they're at, and you try and work a little bit. But I think sometimes there's a certain point where you kind of just
strangle people,
where you kind of either try and work it out, but a lot of the time it's better to just let them on the way and let them find their own sort of journey. And it's the most healthiest thing to do as well.
Yeah, because when you're in the middle of waking up and the person doesn't want to grow with you, you have to let that person go, because that person needs to experience things in their life in order for them to grow. And if you're interfering with their growth in their life, what they're here to learn, you're just going to be pushed out, whether you like it or not. No matter how hard you try, there's always going to be something pushing you out of that area, because that person needs to grow.
Yeah, Darius, I'm actually experiencing that myself right this moment.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, right this moment. I'm in without talking too much detail on here, I'm having a bit of a situation in my home, and I'm at the stage where I'm wanting to take the next step, whether that be spiritually or whatever. But my partner, my wife, I think she needs to have an experience of her own.
Yeah, see, that's what needs to be done, because I mean, it's either if you have an enlightened being awake, someone that's woken up to the truth, that's in the now, and that person either has a choice to follow with you and come with you, or they have a choice not to, because it's their free will. In essence, it's their free will to do what they want. But at the end of the road, I like using this scenario. Life is like has a lot of roads. No matter what road you choose to go down, if it's bumpy, if it's smooth, if it's up and down, at the end of the roads, all the roads meet at the end and become one again. Yeah. So the separation of life, as we call life, is separation. Everything's duality, separate from each other. In the end, the roads will combine to each other, and you will experience oneness again. Mm-hmm. So I mean, even if the person,
fearful as well, being unfearful of anything, it helps most.
Yeah. But the problem is, I'm finding in my experiences that it's all very well you can want that for your partner, you can want that for your wife, but if she fights you, she's fighting me. You see, she's fighting my will. It feels like she's trying to break my will, really. But my free will choice is to do what I'm doing. And free will choice, obviously, is to do what she's doing. But there's a conflict there, you see, and it's hard. It's hard, really, to iron out that problem without treading on people's toes, which you don't really want to do.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you're talking about this, because I'm sort of going through the exact same thing right now with my girl. I want to go and basically experience new things, like spiritually, and she's in the concept of still in the system, you know what I mean? She still wants to be, the system is right, and it's hard to let the person go, but I chosen the best thing to do is to let her go and to let her grow. But it's hard. It really is hard to let go of somebody that you love, especially like me, like someone that is deep in loving somebody. Like when I get involved in love, like I love you forever.
Well, when you've got kids involved, Doris, it's also it's more difficult. I want to do something for my children. I don't really want to have to mess that up just because I'm being selfish, and that's what it feels like I'm being. So, we've all got our own path to take, and I think, our decisions we make have got to be our own, so.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest questions we have to talk about too, is the people who are not awakened. How are they going to awaken themselves, like for them to see everything, either through spirituality or through economic crisis or through just hardship? Like how are these people
mainstream
going to be awakened? You know what I mean? Yeah, mainstream. Because a lot of
people will experience freedom, because sooner or later, people are going to experience the only way that people, when they have an attachment to a world like this, to the government and everything else, when they're on the verge of losing everything and they have nothing, when they have nothing else to lose, that's when they'll experience the true freedom.
That's right.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because I experienced that myself. Yeah. Okay. I experienced, because I was still holding on to my old beliefs, okay? And when I came, when I started to come over to my Uncle Bobby's house, I was on the verge of holding everything in. I didn't want to let it go, and I had nothing. I literally had nothing else to lose, and I changed.
Well, that's what you're saying just there, having nothing to lose. Really, like, we don't, like, I was having a discussion with some family who come from interstate, and everyone in my family can sort of see in a certain way where I'm going, even if they don't really understand. But I explained to them, I really don't have nothing to lose. Like, since I've lost a lot of fear, and I've had certain experiences, but since I've lost a lot of fear with the whole death illusion and being worryful of dying, and then losing a lot of fear with the whole corporations and companies asking you for bills for whatever it is, whether it be electricity or power, and you can understand how they operate and what's going on. You don't have anything to lose. You know what I mean? You're in the most peaceful, positive place you could ever be at, and when you really come to that point where nothing can hurt you or infiltrate you or worry you, you're in one of the most powerful states of mind that you could ever be at, and it's a beautiful, beautiful. Being able to explain fear. Yeah. You can understand how it's controlling one people. Not worry about the issue is where some people we're on a rock, it's a living organic being like ourselves, but it's just tenfold the size of it, and its consciousness, I couldn't even begin to start to imagine how that operates. But we're on a rock flying through space, and people are trying to hold up certain belief structures, whether it be about the government or something as juvenile as that. It's
so insignificant.
Yeah, so insignificant. It's concerning in a way, but at the same time, it's all essential, because if we didn't, I know we've had this discussion before and with other people as well, if it wasn't here and everything wasn't where it was right at this moment, then where would we be? So we've got to be grateful for the polarity and the contrast, the negative side of things, because that's how we learn. We learn mostly from all the corruption, all the negative, or all the anger, and it's all the journey. It's part of learning and going through lessons in life, and I wouldn't change. Like, there's a lot of things at the moment in my life that I don't sort of resonate with. Like, for example, in this is with a lot of people, like a mortgage, your house mortgage, you know what I mean? Like, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't appreciate the things that I've learned from understanding how the mortgage system and how monetary system works and debt and everything. It's all essential. Everything that you might not agree with is essential in your learning curve of this time.
One thing I would say is that nothing works the way you think it does in this system.
Yeah. People holding up understandings of how things operate when they've got no idea of how the things that they think operate that way. It's totally. It is. What's that saying? In the insane society, the sane appear to be insane. Along those lines. What is it?
Insanity is perfectly natural adjustment to a unnatural and negative environment.
Yeah, but you have to be on the same page. You have to be respectful for where everyone is, and that's when I sort of stopped jumping down people's throats or trying to sort of prove a point or wake people up. You know what I mean? Because we're all on our own journey and we're all exactly where we have to be. And I know from everything you've seen so far, so many people now are just asking a lot more questions. Like I have people who I've known for a while, and they see the sort of things I've put out on Facebook, and they ask me questions and send me emails, and it's really interesting. And I just try to help as many people in with whatever because I don't know much, you know what I mean? I know little bits and pieces, but when you come to that point where you think you know something, you're at that point then where you know nothing.
That's what it comes down to too.
And even eventually, with people waking up, eventually everybody's gonna wake up, because eventually they're gonna reach the end of the road and they're gonna see that light, that truth. So eventually everybody's gonna wake up.
Yeah.
The insecurities they had, or they believed they had, with the government and the army and all that kind of stuff, is failing at the moment. So they're gonna see. I had security. I thought these people would give me security, but they haven't given me security. What security do I have? Which is in yourself.
Yeah, self-governance is the point that we
Well, I'm not sure if self-governance is the right word. I just think it's more.
If we start putting the government out on the external and outside of ourselves, and
even when all falsehoods fall away, there's nothing left but truth.
Yeah. Like what the CVACs, sort of shoot off a little bit, but what the CVACs were all about, full transparency and access of information to anyone, from everyone, all about truth, and there's no limits.
But that goes to everyone though, right?
Yeah, everyone has that full
responsibility. Everyone.
What I was going to say, responsibility and accountability. And with all the insurance nowadays, no one seems to have any responsibility or accountability. And like you're saying with the opt-in stuff, transparency, integrity, truth.
Yeah, the very most important.
Very most important.
Definitely. So what's on for what time is it there in Pennsylvania right now? 10 hours ahead, so it would be 9 o'clock.
It's exactly 8:56 p.m. So
couple of minutes.
Basically 9 o'clock.
So is this the beginning of your night? You have things to do?
No. This is the night right now. After tonight, I have to wake up at 5:30 to get to work at 6 and back into the control system.
The remedy is upon us and is coming soon. There's only much more longer we have to work in this manner.
Yeah, hopefully.
No, I really do understand things are definitely the way they have.
Yeah, I mean, even as soon as it comes down, I'm throwing a party. I'm celebrating because most of the people that are asleep are going to be like, oh my God, the government is foreclosed on. Oh, they're going to be worried, and I'm just going to be throwing a party.
The smile.
I believe it's in throwing a party too, but I think at that crucial point, when the system does fail and the people who are not awakened, I think this is why we were on Earth, to awaken them and help them through the awakening stage, kind of thing.
Yeah.
which I think that's what's
a responsibility.
Our responsibility, people who are racist.
I believe it's our duty.
Our duty.
For mankind, for us to free mankind in any way you can. I mean, whether that be through your mindset or through the things you do or whatever, I think that really is important. I think it's our duty as human beings to help others. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you know this stuff. If you know all this stuff, this is too important to just forget. You know, this needs to be some like a tribe. This needs to be handed down through generations.
Well, the American Indians, they had it down pat exactly how they kept their tribes together and equality and how everything worked with them. It's quite beautiful. I've got a few quotes or how they used to operate. Very, very intelligent way of doing things. But where I was heading was, I kind of got lost in my words there. Trying to think what I was going to say. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, not much. Just not much.
Yeah,
I have nothing else to add.
Good few topics we went across, but next week's shows will definitely be another interesting one. I've got a few different intellectuals who come from vast areas of expertise, so I might have them show with us also, so it'll be a great discussion. We'll definitely take it with the safety off and see where we go. But thanks heaps for joining us, Darius, and say thank you to your uncle as well, Sir Bob, and everyone here, James,
thank you, thank
Rob,
you,
Carl, and myself. Thanks everyone for tuning in, but same time next week on Saturday morning here in Australia, and thank you heaps and talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you later.